Hello, hi. This is my last devlog for Lord of Lies. I realize that rhymed. I realize it obviously that it's not in written format like the rest of the devlogs. Hey, what's up with that? Um, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm exhausted. I maybe you can hear it in my voice. Maybe it's in my just general demeanor. People who know me know I'm pretty upbeat and just like like it's just too much. Today, kind of taking a step back, kind of chilling. Just, I wanted to do I wanted this devlog, this postmortem, whatever you want to call it, both, to stand out against the others. Granted, I had planned to actually do like a huge, like I did with the first devlog, like a huge devlog that's really, really like broken down into pieces and oh my god, like a big video essay sort of deal, but like, no, I couldn't. I can't. Sorry. I just, this is the best thing for me, and I'll get into it more as we go on. Like, this is going to be kind of a lengthy one, and I apologize for that, but there are a lot of things to talk about, and I knew that I couldn't write it all down without, like, spending the next week on it, basically, and I just want to get the message out because it's an important message, and I don't want to really spend the rest of my break kind of thinking about Lord of Lies or worrying about a devlog and this, that, and the other. So you're getting it this way right now. So either stick around or don't. I mean, I'm sorry. I appreciate it so much for you checking it out. But I really do recommend, if you do plan on listening to this, to just go like do the dishes or vacuum or like just do something. Okay, maybe not vacuum, you couldn't hear me, but you know what I'm saying. Just do something else productive, because it's just gonna be rambling and just word salad, and I'm sorry. Like, I am a writer. I tend to be pretty good with my words, but right now it's just, no, I'm brain broken as fuck, brain fried. Basically, like, I've spent all my brain juices into just getting the game out, and people who know, you know. Anyway, back to it. My birthday was earlier this month, and I joke that my frontal lobe had finally finished developing, and I feel like I just killed it, to be honest. In the last, my birthday was on the 4th of December, we're in the 31st, and in that time I've managed to kill the little bit of newly frontal lobe that I had, so it was fun knowing her. We'll all miss her. Okay, so let's actually start on the devlog and stop rambling, even though the whole devlog's going to be rambling, so what am I saying? Once upon a time, cutesy. Once upon a time, there was a girl who set out to conquer an ancient foe, and through trial and tribulation, she defeated it, living happily ever after. Or did she? If you notice what I did there, it's a quirky little, cute little thing of me going, that's my journey. Okay, it's cheesy, but it's true. Like, I won't lie to you, it's true. I set out, if you don't know, my first devlog details my entire, like, reasoning for even joining the gym in the first place, but I will summarize it very, very briefly, so that way you're caught up if you don't know. A lot of people avoided reading the devlogs because they were worried of spoilers, and that's fair. I tend to keep them very spoiler-free, but I understand people just wanting to go entirely blind, like not knowing a damn thing, and I'm the same way, so. But I decided to participate in Once Upon a Time Jam for a variety of reasons. It was like a perfect storm of a bit of everything that came together, and I was like, I'm gonna participate. The first thing is that I'm crazy, okay? Like, which sounds kind of like a joke, but not really. Like, I kind of am. I have this thing in me where I just have, like, the too much gene. I always feel like I could just do a little bit more. I can always add a little bit more, do more, squeeze this in, move this over, always make room for my newest hyperfixation. Like, that is consistently been an issue for me, but I think I'm pretty good at dealing with it. It's just that when it happens, if it doesn't leave my mind, I can't get past it. I can't. So the perfect storm was, I'm crazy, and I wanted to make another game, even though I had 3 completed games at this point. Like, honestly, could have just wrapped up 2023, called it a day. Like, I don't think anybody would have thought any different, and I definitely didn't need to pump out my biggest game in the latter half of the year. Like, it just, nor did I need to make an RPG, nor did I need to solo dev it, but we'll get into the reasonings. So yes, I wanted to do that. one of the creators, it's created by Helen Len and Chime, who, you know, are great devs and I admire and have been following for a while and consider pretty good friends. They were running this jam and I thought it looked really cool, and I really admire Chime's work, and I just wanted to, you know, help him, like, uh, have some more games for his jam. Just, like, not being like, oh, no, well, nobody was going to participate. I just, you know, help a guy out. Like, I had the time, why not? I had originally planned to do something entirely original, like, created an entirely new story because I'm gonna be real, I don't actually really like fairy tales very much. Not that, like, I hate them, it's just, I've never been personally, like, drawn to them or had, like, a fondness or nostalgia for them, or, you know, it's just not a thing for me outside of maybe Disney movies, but it's not even the fairy tale aspect, it's like everything else, and they don't really keep them that accurate anyway. It's just not really my thing. But I was willing to, you know, I like to try new things. I like to branch out, and so I decided to make something entirely original for it. I was going to build a team. We're going to make this kind of smallish game. But as I was trying to come up with the concept for it, it just was not clicking. Like, certain parts were, and I actually really like the idea that I did draft up and stuff. So maybe one day in the future Joy can kind of deal with that. But right now I have no desire. And obviously I picked something else. But it just wasn't coming together. I don't know if you're a writer, whoever's listening to this, but you'll probably understand when you're working on something and it's just not working. Like, it's not clicking, it is not doing the things it's supposed to be doing. And it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like just a feeling, you know, if it's not working, it's not working. And I knew that. I knew no matter how much I kept, like, drafting up character designs and working with other people, and I just didn't want to drag anybody into something when I myself wasn't entirely sold on it, so I just had to set it aside in favor of something else, because something else kept popping up in the back of my brain, and that little thing was what we have today. Now, bit of backstory again, still briefing. Back in 2019, long time ago now, oh my god, I wrote my first novel. I was 18 going on 19, and or 19 going on 20, something like that. It doesn't matter. I was working on my first novel, and it was important to me back then to be an author. Basically just to write books. Like, that's how I planned on being in the public eye. I had always planned on writing. I've been a writer since I was like 8 years old. I knew that it was like my lifelong dream. It was something that I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I turned about 19 was I was like, hey, I've written a lot. None of it is finished. I have nothing to really show for being a writer. Like, I just tell people I'm a writer, and then they're like, oh my god, let me read your stuff. And then I'm like, you can't. Unless it's like a one-shot fan fiction. But to me, that didn't count, okay? Like, it didn't. I needed to complete something like NaNoWriMo style, like 50k words at the very least. Novel, done. Like, that was my goal. And in 2019, around January and February, I spent, January to March, I spent 3 months writing 50k words, and it totaled out to be about like 56,000 or something like that. And I finished. And I was miserable. Why? I didn't like writing a novel. There were a lot of things. Now, that was just as shocking for me as it probably is for you to hear. It was shocking for 19-year-old me to sit there and have wanted to write my entire life. I finally do it. I finally finished. I finally sit down, like, wrote the last scene, and then I sat there at my computer and was like, wow, that was fucking awful. And not only that, but I know that the last of this story is not any good. Like, I knew, even back then, I knew that what I had pumped out and had spent 3 months on wasn't even worth going through the trouble. Okay, let me clarify. The actual story itself, like the merit of, like, consuming it, not worth it. Like, it's not worth it for a reader to engage with that story. Was it worth it for a creator to finish a project? Yes. And do it in a timely frame and develop a routine and all that stuff? Yes. Invaluable. And I really want to make that distinction because creating, it comes in multiple, like, what am I trying to say? There are multiple parts of creating, and you can get different things out of it as a creator. Like, the best case scenario is that you not only had a good time creating what you created, but also enjoy the end product, but also, like, you know, you want both, but it's healthy to acknowledge that you can get one or the other, and sometimes neither. So, like, back then, I didn't feel like either was worth it. Like, it honestly put me in a midlife crisis. It wasn't a midlife crisis, but it put me in a crisis. It made me spiral for the next 3 months. I didn't touch the project. I didn't touch the novel. I didn't touch the piece of the project that I worked on. Like, I didn't want to engage with it. I wanted to forget it ever existed. So I did. And that crisis basically was like, well, you know, I know that I want to write. I know that I love writing, and I've enjoyed writing in the past, you know, so it was like, what about this particular project made me hate writing so much? Why do I hate what I'm left with? Like, I didn't have that before. Like, even when I was younger and wrote worse, you know, and wrote far lengthier things and all this and that, like, I still didn't look back at it, like, negatively. I might have been like, oh, this is kind of cringy, this isn't what I want, but, like, I fucking hate it. Oh, and I don't know if I even said it, but the novel that I wrote was called Princess Poison, so that's how we'll be referring to the novel. It's connected to Lord of Lies. It's technically the same story, but it's also technically not at all. So that's its predecessor. Princess Poison left me, like, drained of all creativity, and I spiraled, and I didn't know what to do. And in that time, I got into RPG Maker somehow. It was kind of a mixture of a bunch of things, just being on the internet. I was really on Tumblr back then, and a lot of indie devs, like early indie devs, would make, like, horror games and, like, these little cute RPGs and stuff in RPG Maker. So, and MV, the program in which Lord of Lies is made from, came out in 2015. So, like, I had been aware, and people were still really hyped and talking about it come 2019, 2020 time. And also MZ came out, like, I think in 2020. So, RPG Maker was still, like, popping off. But I attribute it to, like, a Dan and Phil video specifically that kind of pushed me over the edge, of Phil making a game when he was, like, 13. And he was really, like, it obviously wasn't very good, you know, like, but it wasn't really supposed to be. It was just something he did for fun. And I admired how, like, I admired having something that exists out in the world, knowing it's not great, but knowing that it was, like, essential to your growth as a creator and as a person, or this, that, and the other, or that maybe you even had, like, a positive time with it, even if the end result wasn't great, you know. And I, like, something about that really stuck with me. And so I was like, okay, you know what, I have something that I'm not very proud of. Maybe what I need to do, because at this time I was enlisting beta readers for Princess Poison and trying to get, you know, like, trying to fix it, because I knew it had issues once I finished it. Like, and that's the worst part, I think, about being a creator sometimes, is you're completely aware of what the issues are, but you're just, like, either not strong enough as a creator to do it, or you just don't have the willpower to do it. So it's just like this poison you won't get out. Like, I didn't mean to say poison, but, like, but it's like this thing you just can't get out of you. And, like, you know that it's hurting you, you know that it's, like, causing you issues, but it's just like, well, I don't know what to do with it right now. I can't do anything, so I'm just gonna do nothing. And that's how I felt with the project, because I knew with Princess Poison I had to rewrite it, because a lot of the issues were fundamental. Like, the issues were the cast was too big, so I had to cut characters out. I didn't want to cut characters out, or I needed to spend more time with these characters, or make the story twice the length to justify having this many characters, so on and so forth. So, like, I just realized all these issues and things that I needed to, like, correct, and I couldn't. I didn't want to. I couldn't even fathom it. So I was like, okay, I know that I need to rewrite it, but I don't want to actually write a book again, because that sucked. So I was like, what about I make it in RPG Maker? Why not? So I made it in an RPG Maker. I took Princess Poison, the novel, and put it in an RPG Maker. And granted, I didn't know shit about RPG Maker. Clearly. Didn't know a damn thing. So I had to spend a lot of time in 2020, which, if you know, you know. Everyone knows. I had plenty of time to fucking do. We were during the pandemic. It was the optimal, pristine time to spend way too much time trying to learn a program. And I did. And I put easily 500 hours into it. And I made Princess Poison the game. Granted, did I get very far? No, I didn't. Back then it felt like I did because there was just a lot of hours put into it. But what I actually had to show for it wasn't very much, but it was something, and I was working towards it, and I was having fun. I was having a lot of fun. I had fun just learning the program, writing in the program, making my characters, trying to translate scenes from the book into the game. I was technically rewriting things because I realized some things just did not work, and it was great. It was like, it was a power that you can only get from trying to adapt one medium to another, and I was able to see like all the flaws. Like I felt like I was in the Matrix. I could see every issue, every error, every collision. But like, it was just fun, and that was what I had been missing. Creating is supposed to be fun. I think we forget this all the damn time, especially if it becomes your job or you get monetary value back from it or whatever it may be. It's just like, you forget why you did it in the first place. Like, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? Like, there's legitimately no other reason outside of just getting attention, I guess. But then even that will get stale because your games aren't always going to get attention. The thing that you put out isn't always going to appeal to everyone, and at the end of the day, the only person you have left to appease is yourself. And if you can't even do that, then I feel like you failed. Like, not to call anybody out, I guess, but it's just like, it'll save you a lot of heartbreak and time and effort in the future. Make something that you're genuinely happy with. Have fun making the thing that you're making, at least most of the time. I realize that not every part of the trust me, I know, I wrote the damn book on it at this point. Like, I know that you're not going to enjoy every single part of the creative process. I feel like it is unrealistic to ever even expect that. But you do need to enjoy at least 75% of it, or enjoy one part all the time, or whatever. Like, you need to be having fun. Just have fucking fun. Like, that's the point. And RPG Maker kind of taught me that. It taught me, and it reminded me, and it brought me back to ground zero of being just a learner, being a student, with with doe eyes and out in the world. And yeah, I had a great time. Now, where's that game? Where did Princess Poison, the RPG Maker game, go? Well, technically we have it. Congrats. Now, back then, though, the actual Princess Poison game, not Lord of Lies, got corrupted. Because that was part of not knowing what you're doing, is I did not know how to back up saves, which sounds so stupid now because it's like the easiest thing in the fucking world to back up a save, and I didn't even Google it or anything. So I kind of deserved it, honestly, but looking back. But back then, oh my god, I was devastated. One of my saves got corrupted, and I lost like a third of my game. So I basically just had to start all over, and I was miserable. I was so sad. It was awful. Like, god. And I had enjoyed what I had, too. And I was just like, no! Like, it's the fucking worst. Everybody knows that feeling. Like, if you created something and losing any part of it, it just feels awful. Oh, God, it feels like the world is ending. And for a second there, it did. Now, granted, did I take a 3-month hiatus like I did after the writing of Princess Poison, the novel? No, I didn't. I only took a 1-month hiatus because I was like, no, fuck this. I'm going right back. I loved what I had. I need to remake it. And you know what? Honestly, I look back on that now and I'm like, wow, she's crazy. she went hard. It must have been the COVID powers. I don't know. But, like, but back then I picked up from where I left off. I got caught all the way back up. I grinded, I put my fucking pedal to the metal, and I got caught back up, which honestly wasn't that much. It was like through Act 1 and then it like a little bit into Act 2. It wasn't that far. I was being dramatic. Looking back, but obviously back then it was a lot of work. But I got caught up and I got past it, and a thing happened. I got fucking burnt out. I mean, period. At that point I had added another 100 hours to it, and a lot of it was just redoing the shit I had already fucking done. So it wasn't as fun anymore. Like, it was, I wasn't having that much of a great time. Like, I was happy and I was proud of myself, and but, like, you know, that only goes so far. So I got burnt out. And I feel like I'm one of the creators who is, I don't want to be like, I'm immune to burnout. Like, that's not true. It's just that, like, I feel like I am less susceptible to it than most people. Like, I feel like I don't really get writer's block very often, and if I do, I just push past it, and then it just goes away. So it's like it's like a phase. Like, it never really sticks with me. Like, I tend to not, like, step away from things for too long. Like, I'm always doing something creative. Like, I'm always getting back into it. But burnout is something that I am susceptible to, because it means that, like, you know, the thing that I was obsessed with, I'm no longer obsessed with, and that's kind of what gets me through most things. Like, if you ever want, like, a secret recipe on how to get things done, just be obsessed with what you're making. And I know that, like, sounds like either kind of like duh, but I really don't think a lot of people are, like, or they're not as obsessed with it as I'm saying you need to be obsessed with it. Like, this thing needs to be the first thought when you wake up. Like, with my projects, it feels like being in love with somebody. Like, not to be dramatic, but I guess I kind of need to be, because I need you to really understand what I'm saying. Like, this needs to be, like, if you've ever been in love before, or you've ever had just, like, a crush on somebody, it's the closest thing I can equate it to. It's just, like, like, it starts to eat you alive. Like, if you're not engaging with this thing, like, regularly, or talking about it, or like, having it as a part of your daily routine, it will start to, like, actually drive you a bit insane. And that's how insane and how obsessed I get with my own projects. I treat them like my newest lover. Like, they are all I think about. They are the moon, the stars, everything in between. Like, you know, like, I'd do anything for them, you know, but that only lasts so long. And I know this because I've had enough time to, like, be a creator. And that's why it's also important to know yourself and how you work, because I know that I'm, like, I guess, like, a newly formed star, you know. I can burn out, you know. It's all bright, it's all big, things are happening, you know, it's all firing on all cylinders, but, like, if you give me too much time, I'll just fucking explode. And then, like, I have to move on to something else. Like, so if I don't get it done in the time frame that I'm trying to get it done, I become destructive. Like, I become, like, I can't get it done, or the project suffers, so on and so forth. Like, it has to be a very methodical process of, like, I need to be doing something new every step of the way. You know, I have to get re-excited for the project over and over again in order to sustain it. It was the issue I didn't see in Princess Poison the novel, because it was my first time writing a full novel, so obviously I didn't know. But I know now, looking back, that it's like I was doing the same thing over and over again. I didn't plan very well, so I was constantly having to, like, make up for my past mistakes, and it was just like it was not the way joy needs to work. And I realize that now. You know, I have done a much better job at curating a creative environment for myself where I'm less susceptible to burnout, writer's block, and just, like, hating, you know, the process. Again, we'll talk about this more, because this also comes back with Lord of Lies, but in a very different form. So where was I? So yes, be obsessed with your project, make it out. I got burnt out with Princess Poison, the RPG, or PP game, as I called it. All my saves, which, you know, I only had backup saves the second time that I fucking revisited, so we'll just call it PP game. So there's Princess Poison the novel, PP game, the predecessor game, and we're following the timeline here, right? Okay, so PP game, you know, I finally got caught back up on it, and I was just, like, burnt out. In this time, while I was looking for things for PP game, I went on a lot of forums, because a lot of things involving RPG Maker are, like, old ass forums from, like, 10 years ago, you know, written in stone, where you have to, like, find free assets, or, like, a solution to a very obscure problem or plugin interaction. And I was looking for something, I don't fucking know. And I was looking for something, and I was on Lemisoft forums. If you know what Lemisoft is, or just Itch, and, you know, their forums as well, which, you know, I got on both, I started seeing a lot of, like, threads about people being like, hey, I need a writer for a visual novel, and this, that, and the other. And I started just, like, snooping, I guess. Like, not really snooping, it's public, but you're just looking around, and it's like, oh, what's this? And people were talking about making visual novels. Now, let's go back in time for a split second. I played a lot of visual novels. Granted, you know, I was young, and they were like those mobile otome games or Dramatical Murder. It was basically those two. Like, that was my visual novel experience, if you want to just sum it up. And so, but I loved them. I fucking adored them. And I had forgotten about them, you know? Like, I was like, oh, that was a cool thing that happened, whatever. You know, I guess I was more obsessed with just, like, actual, not to be like actual games, but like I got more obsessed with just like the more mainstream games outside of visual novels. Like, visual novels is kind of a niche thing. So but I was like, oh my god, people are making those, holy shit, I would love to make one, but I'm kind of making a game right now. It's like, so I don't really have time. And obviously, even back then, because it was an RPG Maker game based off of a book, it was still very narrative heavy, so even back then I would consider it a visual novel, just in the sense of just how much fucking cutscenes and, like, player interactions, and I was starting to get, like, character bust and stuff, so it was a fucking visual novel, I just didn't know it. But anyway, people were asking for writers and stuff, and I was like, ooh, that sounds fun, so I just hopped on that, and I started contract writing for other visual novel studios. That's how I actually got into VN Dev in a very weird way, and I would write for other writers, and I would get paid for it. Now, granted, did any of these really come to fruition? Not really. Which brings me to my next point. They never kind of got off the ground, and I was like ready to go, and didn't really have the opportunity to actually see my work come to light and like play a game that I was in. Like, that was really exciting to me, that prospect. So it was like, okay, fuck it. You know, it can't be that hard. Let me just do it myself. So I did. Which, you know, haha, joke's on you, will actually destroy your life. No. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. And so I started, I wanted to participate in Yaoi Jam, for 2021. And I got with a programmer, I got with, you know, started making friends, started, you know, working, and I developed Tattoos and Tulips. And then Tattoos and Tulips became my world. Fucking PP Game Who, Princess Poison Who, Tattoos and Tulips, that's all I cared about. And I fucking loved that story. And it became the first game I ever put out. So, obviously, I did put Princess Poison aside and PP Game, but, you know, like, I had something else to show for it. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the crazy part. So, Tattoos and Tulips, and a lot of people don't know this, was my second, like, finished, completed work that was, like, past a certain word count. Like, it was a completed story. It was my second time ever fucking doing it. Like, between Princess Poison and between Tattoos and Tulips was, like, a couple years. It was, like, a year and a half, something like that. But the amount of improvement in that time is insane. I don't know. It's honestly kind of crazy to me. Like, Tattoos and Tulips has its problems, but I still look back on this story, like, multiple times, like, watching people play it, and I look at the writing, and I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate a single part of that story. Like, I genuinely love Tattoos and Tulips. I love what I have to show for it, and what's even better is I wrote Tattoos and Tulips in fucking 3 weeks. That's another thing people don't know. 3 weeks. In perspective, Princess Poison was 56,000 words, okay? And I wrote it in 3 months. Oh, good, you know, okay. And, like, not to shame anybody, you know, writing speed is, you know, it's subjective. It doesn't fucking matter. It's just, I'm a fast writer, so for me, speed is everything. But, like, and then Tattoos and Tulips, which was, like, 60k words, and I actually had to cut it down, you know, is, I wrote in 3 weeks. I gave myself a month to write it, which at the time felt crazy, but I gave myself it was in August of 2022 that I wrote it, and I fucking loved it. The entire experience, oh my god, it was so good. I could make an entire devlog just talking about that. But it did so much for me as a creator. It put both experiences, finish the Princess Poison novel and putting the Tattoos and Tulips novel, you know, side by side, and I go, oh my god, I wrote just as much with this project, but I loved it every step of the way. right now I'm thinking of a time that I was fucking miserable doing it, and like I might have struggled here and there, but it was not like, it was not the same. They were not comparable. And so I was just like, oh my god, so I can write, and I can enjoy it, and I can have something. And then, so Tattoos and Tulips came out it came out in April of this year, fully. The demo came out in January, and then the full game came out in April, which is crazy. It feels like yesterday that it came out. But it came out, and I was happy with the fucking end product, which honestly, you know, I've made this speech to friends before, but it is very easy to be more positive about your work when you work in a team, because you can't hate all of it. You can only really hate the part that you were responsible for. But I didn't even hate that. So, like, that's why I love Tattoos and Tulips so much, because it's just, like, there's just talent everywhere on that project. Like, everywhere you look, oh my god, so good. You know, and that is something that we'll get into again for Lord of Lies. But it's just, like, I realized that. I was like, wow, I love working in a team. I love collaborative work. In addition to, you know, just writing and all this other stuff. So I was like, oh my god, not only do I love creating, but I'm obsessed. I'm making friends. Things are going good. I'm making actual games. You know, it's getting attention, blah, blah, blah. Like, so much good. So much good came from Tattoos and Tulips. And, then, you know, later Crabs and Cocktails, then later, Cassie, Jesus. I was like, oh, what was that fucking project I made again? I love Cassie. I always shit talk it, like, to my husband. I'm like, people like this story and I don't know why, like, I just pumped it out, like, you know, one day, but it's fine. I like it. I'm proud of it. And again, I worked in a team, so I can't hate it too much, you know what I mean? So, yes, it was a great experience for me to have that. Tattoos and Tulips basically saved my life in terms of, like, being a creator, and I'm forever grateful for it. So, on to the next part. Okay, so we're caught up. That's a bit of the backstory in regards to why I've enjoyed the jam, and this fucking foe I had to defeat of Princess Poison and PP Game. I was like, these bitches need to get done. You know, like, they've been sitting there, the story has been sitting here for so long, uncompleted. And here's the crazy part, to me, is that even though I had a miserable experience with Princess Poison, and, like, I didn't really even like the end story that much, I did like parts of it. I did, you know, and I liked the concept, I liked the bones of it. I just didn't like everything else. Like, if it was a whole person, I liked only its anatomy and nothing else. Like, I liked what it had to offer. The potential was great, and I could see that. And with more time and getting, because I dropped Tattoos and Tulips for like a split second, because I worked on it in 2021, didn't hit the jam time, and it like kind of bloated. It got a little too big, and I worked on it slowly, and then, you know, it came out the following year, and I was just like, okay, so I can drop things and I can pick them back up, and, you know, it could be for the better. So I was like, well, maybe Princess Poison is that way, you know? And that thought always creeped in my head. It was always there, but then I was like, then I would remember, you know, opening my laptop and working on it and feeling physically ill, like actually getting nauseous, just like, ugh, God, can't even deal with it. That's how bad the burnout was. Like, it was awful. So I was like, I would remember that, and it just kept, like, this tennis match of, like, well, you could work on it again, and you could do it better. Oh, but remember all those horrible things that happened as you worked on it each and every time. So it was, like, this constant, okay, is it Princess Poison that's the issue, or is it me that's the issue? Is it neither of us? I don't know. So it started to just drive me a little bit insane. So when Once Upon a Time Jam popped up, you know, on my feed, and just, like, in my brain, you know, it would bring back images of Princess Poison, because even though Princess Poison was not a fairy tale back then, like, it really wasn't, it just made allusions to fairy tales, like in the way that the Witcher series does. Like, I think the Witcher actually does it more than Princess Poison does, but, like, Gala, she is based off of Snow White. Like, that was always a part of the story. Like, she was always supposed to be just, like, edgy Snow White, and I love that for her. She's great, honestly. Granted, I've nuanced it a lot since back then. Really, that was, like, that was her whole dressing back then. That was, like, the whole gimmick. She even had, like, an annoying habit of just, like, eating apples throughout the entire story. It's like, bitch, we get it, shut up. Like, and by bitch, we get it, shut up, I mean me. Like, Gayla didn't do it, I did it. So, yeah. Anyway, but every time I saw Once Upon a Time Jam and got excited for it, and even as I was trying to make this new original story for it, I was like, but what about Princess Poison? What about... And it just would not leave my brain. And I had earlier experience with a different project in March, which I'm not going to get into because it's actually relevant for next year, not this year, and this is Lord of Lies Time to Shine, not this other project, even though they are connected. But I had an earlier instance this year of being so obsessed with this idea that just cannot get out of my head no matter what I do, and no matter, like, you know, you're working on a project and then this other like random idea appears, and then you have to like kind of focus on that for a split time just so you can get it to shut up. That's what I had with this project, and it kind of got a little out of control, but I'm glad that happened. So when it started happening again, but with fucking Princess Poison of all things, you know, like, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to do something about this, aren't I? And that's where the crazy part comes in. Yes, I did. Because something that sold me on Once Upon a Time jam as well was that it was a 3-month jam. A lot of jams are very short, and so you don't have like a lot of leg room to do things, but I was like, 3 months? I could probably get it done in 3 months. I mean, I got Tattoos and Tulips, which is 60k words done in 3 weeks, you know? Like, so, you know, all this other experiences started to file back in, and I was just like, it just kept, that idea just kept getting bigger and bigger until I couldn't escape it anymore, and I was like, you know what? Let's do something crazy. Let's do it again, alright? But if it doesn't work out this time, I'm giving up for good. Like, I gave myself a fucking ultimatum. Like, I'm telling you, I'm insane. Like, I'm insane. Like, this sounds insane. If you're not a creator, this is gonna sound like I'm actually a mad scientist. Like, I was just like, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it, bitch. I hear you. All right. Like, 3 months, I can do this. So I, like, buckled up. I got ready. I started prepping in, God, when it was announced, like, September. And I was like, okay, and it starts it started September 30th. Jesus, I'm having to remember all this timeline shit. So it like started a little bit later, and so I started prepping, and I started like telling people about it, and a big event that happened was at my job, I get to walk around all day. Like, walking is a big part of my job. I get to just like, you know, circle all the aisles. I work at a grocery store. I'm a personal shopper, so I like fill other people's orders, and I walk all day. Like, that's how I lost so much weight this year. Like, I walk at least 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. Like, it's kind of insane, but it's great. You know, it makes me feel really good. So, and I get to listen to music while I'm at my job. Like, I have one earbud in, and I do my best brainstorming when I'm doing other things, you know, like taking a shower, washing dishes, you know, and especially listening to music while you do those things. So I was able to really brainstorm a lot for a Princess Poison rewrite, because I knew that I needed to rewrite it. I knew it, because there's no way I could adapt what it currently like, you could read the story. It is out there publicly. It is in the first devlog if you are interested. Go ahead if you fucking want to, but I really don't recommend it unless you're insane. It's not good, and I knew that. And I knew that if I did work on this fucking project again, it would have to be rewritten. And the PP game technically was rewritten a lot as well, but I had to rewrite it again. So this is its 3rd rewrite, man. It's insane. And very appropriate for a fairy tale jam, because it comes in 3s. Haha. Anyway. So, 3 months, 3 acts, you know, like, you see what I'm saying? Okay, so, 2023, Jesus Christ, okay, so, so I brainstormed it, and I had, like, a fucking epiphany. I had the gates opened, everything made sense, the story started making sense, the playlist, I've had a playlist for this fucking story forever that's just been being added to for years, and it's just like, everything started connecting. Oh my god, this makes sense, let's move this around, let's combine these characters, let's do this, let's do that. Oh my god, so many changes, and all for the better. All for the better. Oh my god, I could have an entire, and maybe one day I will, make a devlog comparing all the differences between the first iteration of Princess Poison, the second iteration for the PP game, and Lord of Lies, because they are 3 separate entities. They have the same characters, but all the characters are different, in my opinion. Like, all basically the same, like, building blocks for a story, but completely execute them differently, like, thematically, entirely differently. Like, it's insane. So I've never had to rewrite a story this many times. Like, I've never had this experience, so this was wild that this could even happen, but that cemented it for me. I was like, not only am I going to do this, but I also have a really good story, and I need to tell this story, and it needs to be out there, and I need to yeah. Okay, so another thought just popped in my head, and this is important. This is another reason why I had to join, was for me. Okay, so let's not fast forward, let's back up for a split second and So 2023, I released Tattoos and Tulips in April, and then Crowds and Cocktails in August, and Cassie right before that. So like three games under my belt come September. And I want to get one more out. 4 is like my lucky number. I really like the number 4. And I don't know. So I was like, I want to get one more game out before the end of the year. Like, I think 4 games in my first year of the dev, I feel like that's awesome. So I knew that I was going to, I could have done a short fucking game. I could have done literally anything to accomplish that goal. I could have made a Cassie part 2, and it would have been so easy and so nothing. But I didn't want that, okay? Because I guess it comes down to integrity and pride, or somewhere in there. In this time, with these games, I started to look inward a lot. I had a lot of things happen, a whole fucking other story, but I met great friends. I started like rediscovering myself as a person and as a creator, and involving myself in the dev community, and just like, you know, I was going through a lot of like growing pains, basically. And one of those growing pains is something I never really experienced before, obviously, because I was never making stuff in the public eye. But it was imposter syndrome. I have severe, really bad imposter syndrome. I get a lot. I constantly feel like I'm not supposed to be in this space. I constantly feel like I'm doing things wrong, or like I'm not actually as talented as I am. You know, like it's the success that I've gained, you know, like the little bit of success that I've gained is as a result of the people I'm surrounded by, like of my team members. Like I build good teams. That is the talent I have. It's not my writing that sells these games. It's not, you know, the whatever. Like those are the thoughts that always enter my mind. And even if like on good days I'm like, no, you're doing good. You know, but it pops up so much, and it's something that I've always struggled with and wanted to conquer, because I knew that having this constant case of imposter syndrome pop up is only going to hurt me in the long run. So I was like, okay, let's deal with this. So to deal with that issue, I was like, well, what if I solo dev something? The issue is I don't know anything about Ren'Py. I have no desire to learn Ren'Py. I probably should, and I probably will one day. But that day is not today. But I had put all these hours in RPG Maker. So I was like, well, if I do solo dev something, it needs to be an RPG Maker, because that's what I know. And then I could just commission art, and I could get a composer maybe, or just use free assets. Like I could solo dev something, and that I could do that. And I was like, well, you know, Princess Poison was made by me before. You could do it again, even though it's fucking huge, and you probably don't want to do it all yourself, but fuck it. So I did. I solo dev'd it. And granted, I will, like, it is solo dev'd and most of it is me, but I feel like a lot of its success is as a result of the people I worked with, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but, so it is solo dev'd, but God, I love teamwork shit for so many reasons, and there'll be an entire section dedicated to that. But, so yeah, in order to, that was a big part of why I even participated. Was I wanted to prove to Joy that Joy is good. Like, if people like Lord of Lies, then they'll actually like me, because, you know, it's me all over it, you know what I mean? And I know that's kind of like a toxic way to look at it now. I actually don't really agree with my stance on this anymore. I feel like, I don't know, I shouldn't undermine the work that I've done. It's a tough one. It's not like an easy thing for me to crack. I just constantly, what I've taken away is that, you know, like, I was successful, and I did, you know, I succeeded in what I wanted, what I set out to do, but, like, it was unnecessary, because I had succeeded in everything else I intended to do this year. So it was like, Lord of Lies really isn't any different. Like, I'm sitting here right now, the game is out, you know, I had thought about over and over again how I would feel when the game was out, and it's, you know, it's completely different, actually, in a lot of ways compared to my other releases. I was not nervous for my other releases. I was excited, you know? Like, I would be sitting with these awesome projects, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for people to see this and hear this person and, you know, all this different shit. Like, with Lord of Lies, it's not that. It's kind of a little bit of everything, and it's more just, like, nervous. Like, I'm nervous for people to play it. I'm nervous for people to perceive it, and I never really had that before. Like, I'm pretty confident in what I put out, and I'm confident in what I'm doing, and I've been posting, like, fanfiction and shit publicly for a while, for, like, fucking years. So, like, it's not that I can't be in the public eye. It's not that I can't, you know, be perceived. It's just that, like, this is my first time ever doing an RPG Maker game. It's my first time ever solo deving. And it's my biggest project period right now. So, like, all of that combined, was crazy for me. It was, I can't really even put into words how I feel. I'm gonna have to sit on it for a while before I can properly, like, say how I feel. A lot of it is, I'm proud. I work full time. A lot of people may know this, they might not. I feel like I'm pretty open about it, but like, I work 40 hours plus a week, and my job isn't necessarily the easiest job in the world, especially around the holidays. So not only was I able to make my biggest project by myself in RPG Maker, make a fucking RPG, not just a visual novel. Not that making a visual novel is easy, but just, like, what I was doing was, there was more. Okay, there's just more. So not only was I able to do all this, I succeeded, and I did it on time, and I did it in the way that I wanted to do it, and this is the biggest one, and I'm proud of what I put out. I'm happy with the story that I told. I would not change the story that I told. If anything, I would just add to it. I feel like there are more things that can be said, and there will be. There will be opportunities for me to do that. Does that mean Lord of Lies Part 2? Hell no. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It means maybe, like, little fanfiction snippets on the side. It might mean, like, allusions to it in future projects. Lord of Lies is complete. It is a full package. What you get is what you get with that fucking project. The only things that I'll update to it are, like, gameplay shit. Right now, I don't even want to think about it. I'm taking a month break. I've already said this publicly. January is my entire month break for the new year. I wanted to go in the new year fresh with 4 games under my belt, and I wanted to fucking relax, okay? I wanted to take a break because I'm bad at it. I am so bad at it. I am one of those people who preaches, take a break, take a break. Like, I'm literally the Hamilton song where he's like, take a break. Go upstate. Like, I'm literally that. Like, I hear that song every time I'm, like, to take a drink of water, to go, like, get lunch and shit. Okay, this is gonna sound cringe as fuck, but, you've got this far. Might as well hear this. This is between you and I. I really love Hamilton. Like, I constantly make references to it. One, because it's a fucking bop, and I listen to it a lot. But I cannot tell you how much I identify with the character Alexander Hamilton as portrayed in the story Hamilton, not the actual person. Let's not even cross those hairs. But, like, the actual character I identify with so much. I understand him viscerally. Like, I am fucking Alexander Hamilton. I will not throw away my shot. I am going to fucking sacrifice everything and anything to get my shit done. Like, I would literally kill myself to put out a project. Like, and that's kind of exaggeratory, but it's also kind of not, okay? And that's what's terrifying. And I really need, and I'll get into this a little bit later because I really did want to talk about this. It's a big reason why I needed to even make this postmortem in the first place. But I know how I am. I know how crazy I can get, okay? So I need to really, really, in the times where things are chill and on my breaks, need to remember how bad it can get. And to never, all because I can do something does not mean that I should. And that goes for you as well. All because you can do something does not mean that you should do it. And we'll get into that very soon. Okay, so since my devlogs are basically for documentation purposes, that's why part of this is kind of long, because it's good for me to hear in the future. Future Joy, looking out for her, and I need her to understand, and for, anybody reading, listening to this, that I've done so much to get this out. Like, I can never fully have you experience. I just need you to believe me. I need you to, and for Joy, Future Joy, to remember how bad it got, okay? So let's be real here for a second. Trigger warning, I guess, mental health. I have very bad mental health issues. I'm not very public about this because I don't want to create a space in which I'm just negative. I want people to look at me positively, and it's not like fake positivity or anything like that. It's more just, I want to, I only want to be known for the things I put out and for the interactions that I have with my friends. I don't want to be known for the girl who struggles and has a lot of trauma and is kind of insane when she loves something. And though I don't, like, hate that part, well, I don't know, it's tough. You know, like, it is part of me, it is who I am. But I'm going to bring it up because it's relevant here, and I just want to, again, for future joy, to understand how bad it got. So I've struggled with mental health my whole life. I had a very, very traumatic experience as a child, that I will not obviously disclose, but it has, it has affected my life in the sense that I've always had panic attacks. Like, I have panic disorder. In addition to many other things. Probably ADHD, like, just a lot of just, it's a lot. And I am highly medicated. I've been not self-medicated, no. I've been on medication since I was 17 years old. And, I had a mental health crisis at the latter half of last year in 2022, like, for 3 months. I was in the worst place I had ever been. I was, suicidal. I was, bedridden for 3 months. I was I was going through like drug withdrawals, and it was miserable. It was a horrible, do not take your medication, please, just listen to me. So I had to get over that hump, and I did, and I've been doing really good for 2023. I have been medicated the entire year. I've been consistent about it. Have I slipped up here and there? Yes, I have. But I basically needed to not only make Lord of Lies in 3 months while working full-time, but I needed to make sure that my mental health didn't take a tank again, because it can get really bad. And so that was something I was always conscious of. Now, when I get really excited about something and hyperfixate, and I use that word a lot because it's true, that's the best way I can describe it. I just get so crazy about these projects that it's like, everything else kind of goes out the window. I'm like, eating, optional. Showering, we might. You know, like, it gets to that point where it's just like, well, if I'm not creating, you know, everything else can come secondary. Now, here's a big example of that. If I didn't take a sleep medication, because that's what my mental health medication doubles as, it's a really strong sleep medication. And so I have a very consistent time in which I take it, and I have to go to bed every night. Like, I need to actually sleep it through because it will leave me drowsy and I can't do my work. So if I didn't have that medication, I wouldn't be able to just, like, I could have pulled so many all-nighters. I could have, like, actually hurt myself, especially in fucking December. But again, we'll get into it. Give me a second, I gotta sit up. Oh, I'm like in my bed. I wanted to be comfy when I was doing this, but this is kind of an important thing and I can't be kind of lackadaisical about it. So I needed to really, like, treat myself well while I did this. Like, I needed to accomplish what I needed to do, but I also needed to make sure this didn't happen. So I was on this, like, tightrope for 3 fucking months of just being like, okay, go to work, eat, come home, work on my game. That was my entire day for like 3 months, outside of maybe 3 holidays, because, you know, Thanksgiving, my birthday, and then fucking Christmas. I know my birthday isn't a holiday. Shut up. I'm saying this to my fiance if you hear, or like my husband if he hears this. So anyway, the point is, 3 important events happened in that time, and it was like basically the only time I took breaks. Now, when I worked, I would get up, I would eat, I would drink water, I would do all this stuff. Like, I definitely could have done it worse. But it wasn't great. And as time went on, it got worse. So I worked through October, I worked through November, and I worked through December. October, great. We finished the whole story, we were sitting pretty, and then I was like, okay, gotta finish this other stuff in November. November, it started to get pretty hard. Especially towards the latter half of it. I'm sensing a trend here. So the first half of the developmental process went pretty smoothly, and, you know, I've put out every single devlog that I intended to do. Like, I haven't missed a single one, and I'm super proud of that. I've never actually, like, I did devlogs for Tattoos and Tools, but I gave up on them because I didn't feel like they were really that great. And I didn't know what I was doing. But I knew that I would have a lot to talk about with Lord of Lies, and I was completely right. Honestly, I had to hold back on a lot of devlogs because I just didn't want to spoil anything for anybody. So I'm proud of myself for that, and I got everything done. Like, I hosted Thanksgiving at my own house. I'm American, so, you know, we celebrate it. I hosted Thanksgiving, I had my birthday, and I had a great birthday, I had an amazing birthday. I turned 25. And then Christmas was great. I had an amazing Christmas as well. So, fuck New Year's. We don't give a shit about New Year's. This is lull time. We're celebrating Lord of Lies on my New Year's. But, you know, I'm mostly joking. So those were like the only times that I really took breaks. And I made sure to accomplish very specific goals before those dates because I wanted to be able to relax on those days. I didn't want to be stressing about my game. And I did really good on all of those. I'm proud of myself for that. Like during my birthday, beta testing had started the day before on the 3rd. And it was my first time beta testing, and oh my god. And I gave it to 3 beta testers, Snacks, Lacey, and Alex, and they are all amazing, and I will gush about them later, you know, to keep this we got to keep this balance. I'm talking about mental health, I also got to talk about the love for my friends, just to keep everything light and airy. So yeah, latter half was good, my breaks were good. However, the biggest thing here is December was hell on earth for me. After my birthday, things started to get a little crazy. The best way I can describe it is just like the whole experience with Lord of Lies for me can be summed up in, oh my god, no matter how much work I did for it, it never felt like I was getting closer to being finished. And the story was done in October, okay? And the story was doubly done, like edited and put together and beta tested by the time December, you know, the second week of December pulled around, okay? So it was mainly just like NPCs, combat, that's the biggest one, combat, okay? I've never balanced a fucking RPG in my life, okay? Now, I've played a lot of games, and I think that does help, and I do feel like the game is mostly balanced, okay? But, you know, if you're gonna play the game, if you're listening to this before you play the game, use your items, please. If you get an item, use it, please, don't forget. God, just use it, please. In order to keep the game balanced, because that's what I balance it around, is making sure that your stats and what you're getting and blah blah blah, whatever. So I'm insane. Okay, so like December went a little crazy. It went a little crazy, and the worst part was these last 3 days, meaning December 28th, 29th, and the 30th. Fucking awful. It's like that Zelda meme of just like, like 24 days remaining, like, oh my god, the deadline was getting so close. And no matter how much work, let me just say this, I had never spent as much time at a computer in my life, okay? And I've had computers my whole life, and I probably actually did before when I was a kid, like watching like stuff on YouTube, but you know what I mean. I've never like sat at a computer working for 3 fucking days straight in my life, okay? I only got up to go to the bathroom. My husband had to bring me food. He had to, like, I would take 30-minute breaks at most. I had to take 1 break just to walk to the grocery store, and it felt like, oh my god, it felt so good. Because, okay, so I have 2 monitors. I have a PC that I built this on, and I'm very thankful, shout out to my husband, for giving me a PC to work on my games all this year. Been awesome. And then a second monitor for Christmas or my birthday or something like that. And so I was able to get a lot of work done, and I felt very productive. However, not good on your brain. Imagine sitting at a fucking computer with 2 monitors, you know, all that UV light for 3 fucking days. And I'm not exaggerating. And what I mean by days is I would get up at 8 a.m., sit at my computer, first thing that I fucking did, and I would sit there until midnight. Every single night, because at midnight it was like, okay, well, I gotta take my pill now. Like, I cannot push it past midnight. Like, I need to take it, go to bed, and do all this over again. And I did that for 3 days, 3 fucking days, and it was awful. It was already bad enough that I would have to go to work and then come home and then spend the last like 4 or 5 hours because I get home at like 6 p.m. my time. And, obviously my time, why did I say that? Okay, I get home at 6 p.m. and then again, I have to get up to go to work in the morning, so I can't stay past like midnight, so I would have to like work till 6 to 10, 11, I get maybe 4 or 5 hours every day to work on my game, which sounds like a lot. No, it fucking ain't. No, it ain't. It ain't a lot for what I was trying to do. And I did that for months, and that was rough. That was really tough. But I was proud of myself for consistently doing it and very rarely like not doing it basically. Because I really couldn't afford to take very many breaks. 3 months, yeah, that's a lot of time. Not a lot of time for this project. My project was way too big for 3 months. And I did not realize that until it was far too late. And by the time December came around and things really started getting hard, I was already in it, man. I was in it to win it. It would have been harder for me to stop doing what I was doing than to just keep going. And I knew that. And I started having mental breakdowns. I'll be real. I had at least maybe 4 mental breakdowns, like full on crying, panicking, like just, oh my God, why did I do this? I can't give up. I can't miss this. People are going to hate me. I'm going to hate me. That's the biggest one. I'm going to hate me if I don't get this done. I'm not going to be able to go into the new year. So I had put the stakes so fucking high for myself. You know, at the end of the day, if I had to push this back a month, no one would have blinked an eye. Everybody would be like, you know what? Understandable. Makes sense. Have a good day. I know that. I know it. I know that if I didn't release it for Once Upon a Time Jam, no one cared. Chime wouldn't have cared. Everybody would have been like, you know what? Your mental health, all that, more important. And you know what? You're right. You're fucking right. That is the correct response to that. However, again, insane person. The thing that got me through those 3 days was looking myself in the mirror tomorrow on January 1st, 2024. I wanted to be able to look myself in the fucking mirror and go, bitch, you did it. It was hard and you hated it, but you did it. And no one can take that away from you. And that is it's not the only redeeming quality. I was going to say it was. But that is the biggest redeeming quality of those 3 days of hell. Okay, that crunch time, that little cutesy phrase, you know, I tweeted, blah, blah. I didn't talk to my friends. I didn't fucking talk to my fiance really the whole time. I didn't do shit, man. I lived and breathed Lord of Lies for 3 days, okay? And it was awful. In that last stretch, oh my God. I can laugh about it now. And that's the best part about, you know, sweating and bleeding and crying over your works is that you can look back on it and go, damn, bitch, that was crazy. You know, and I like that. I like that I could look back on it and just be like, oh, you know. I'm not doing it again. I've joked about it. I've even spoke about it pretty lighthearted, despite me being like, oh, this is kind of a tough subject, because it is tough, and I don't want to undermine the struggle that really went into this. And it is not normal or good to have that many mental breakdowns in that short amount of time and to sit at your computer for 3 days. I've risked my job. Like, I took off days from my job in order to, like, work on the project more. You know, I could, you know, very well walk in tomorrow and not have a fucking job. I don't know. I'm not really that worried about it. I'll get another job. It's fine. But, like, that's the amount of dedication I put into my work. That everything else becomes secondary. You know, I haven't seen my mom, like, since Christmas. Like, she's been wanting to hang out with me. I'm like, Mom, sorry. Gotta work on my game. You know how important it is. And she, thank God, most of the people in my life, thank God for all of you for just being so understanding of either me or just my love for my work, that they put up with it. Because, I mean, I guess I would for other people because I get it, but, like, I can't imagine being my mom and just being like, you know what, I only have so much time with my kid and she's spending so much time working on her game. Like, I feel sympathy, I feel bad. And I also feel bad for not spending time with my husband. We've been together for 5 years, you know, like, this was our 6th Christmas. Like, we've been together for a while, and he's been he's been my rock, and I know that I can rely on him to give me the space and the time to do what I need to do. But 3 months without your significant other, you know, like, having good, actual, consistent quality time. Like, if we didn't have holidays, I don't know if we would have had as much time to spend together, you know what I mean? So that's not great either, and I can't take that for granted. Sure, this happened this one time, and I could get away with it now, but I can't do this every time. This isn't sustainable. That is the big one, okay? And it's what I realized in December, and I mean, I'm glad for myself for realizing it, I guess, but, like, I need you to also understand so you don't do the same thing I fucking did. And look, I'm one of those people who, I have to do it in order to, like, believe it. Like, people could say it, but I mean, with some things I'll just take your word for it. But, like, when it comes to at least creating, it's just like, oh, no, it can't be that hard, can it? You know, I could probably do it. Like, I'm one of those bitches, and I hate it. You know, like, it's what it is. I need to just, no. I've learned it. I've learned my lesson. I fucking taught myself a lesson. No one is harder or meaner or more cruel towards me than me. I know this. And so I'm not doing this again. And if I do this again, I'm going to end up it's not happening. It's just not happening. I know that. It is not going to happen. When I say, that is one thing about me as well, is that if I say something's going to get done, it will get done. Some way, somehow. So, this isn't sustainable. I do not plan on doing this again. It is not healthy to put everything secondary to your work, even though you love it. Now, if you only have to do it temporarily for a little bit, I feel like it's fine. You know, like, ultimately nobody hates me, and, like, I didn't hurt anybody in this process. I didn't really hurt myself too bad. The worst hurt that I did in those last 3 days, but it's just like, that's what I needed to do. If I didn't have those 3 days, I don't even know if we'd be having a finished game right now. But, you know, I did it. It's done. I can celebrate. I'm not doing it again. I have to do better. It's like, I've explained it in this way, not that I'm a fucking Olympian, obviously, but it's like, you know, athletes have doctors specifically to monitor their muscles and see if they can push past a certain point. Like, they always want to do more, you know, for the sake of the competition. They always want to be better, and they want to, you know, like, but your body is limited. You are limited. There are only so many things you can do. You can make the proper adjustments. You can plan. You can have all the time, you know, but it's just like, at some point, you know, there's going to be a break, and at some point you're not going to be able to do this every time. You might be able to do this one time to get that gold medal, but are you going to be able to do this in the next 4 years? Are you going to do this for the rest of your life? I don't think so. How can you consistently one-up yourself like that in such a big way? You know, you should always be striving to improve yourself, but not like this. You know, there are other ways to improve, and crunch culture and grind culture is something I have always kind of had a problem with, even though I engage with it. Like, I engage with it, but I never encourage other people to do it. That is something I always do, is like, you know, it's horrible. Like, I will be like, no, fucking don't do that. Like, if my friend told me, like, if someone else had done what I did with LOL, I would be like, oh my god, you're crazy, and also, you need to stop. You're gonna hurt yourself. But because it's me, I'm like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. I am the exception to all my rules. And I need to rewrite my rules, and I need to make sure that I am part of it. I am the reason the rule exists. Okay? I cannot do this again. I cannot stress that. I would get dizzy spells. Now I get dizzy spells a lot. Honestly, I need to go see a doctor, and what's that about? It might be tied to just being like a woman or being 25 or something. But like, I would get a lot of dizzy spells. Granted, I was staring at my fucking screen for 3 months, so it's not really like, what was it, Sherlock? Like, we know, but also like, it would get so bad that I would get nauseous at my computer screen, but I couldn't stop. I had to push past it. Even when it sucked, even when I felt like I was going to puke, and I felt like I was going to puke the whole, like, December 30th was just puke day. I just wanted to puke all day. But I pushed past. I did it. Like, but it's not, and I had a migraine. I had a horrible migraine. And this isn't me complaining. This is me, like, giving you, like, warnings as to, do you want to be nauseous at your computer? Do you want to have a headache? Do you want to do, I don't know. I feel like most people would have just been like, you know what? I can't do this. I need to, like, give myself another month. And that would be the normal sane thing to do, but I just did not want to sit with Lord of Lies for another month. I didn't want to stretch this out. I wanted to be done when I wanted to be done, when I said I was going to be done. And that comes at a cost. You know, it was either my pride or my health, and my pride won this time. But my pride can't win every time. And for my future projects, I'm going to come first before them. Because if I don't, then I'm not going to be able to push out as many projects as I want to. There's so many stories that I want to tell. There's so many teams and people that I want to meet and things I want to do. And I can't do it like this. So there's that. That was the big, hey, this is why this postmortem needed to be made. But guess what? It's not over. Still have a couple more things to talk about. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Now for some positivity, all right? I like to end things on a positive note. I want to keep things light because today is a good day, okay? Today is the release day of Lord of Lies. I succeeded in what I set out to do, and I read my first devlog last night as I was, like, going to bed, and I didn't cry. Like, I haven't cried yet. Like, I'm super emotional, so, and this, honestly, is crazy that, like, we're here, you know? Like, it's feeling more surreal than anything. It's like, oh my god, I fucking did it, holy shit, you know, but like, and I did it in the way that I wanted to do it, and I didn't really have to sacrifice much, in terms of like the actual end product, you know? And we're here. We're here. We fucking did it. And I'm so glad. And it's on a beautiful day as well. Today is 12/31/23. Right now, currently for me, it's like not even noon yet. And it's 123 and I feel like that's great luck, you know, to put out a game on the last day of the year, and 2024 is gonna be my year. 2023 was great for me, my first year as a dev. Like I can look back and go, I did that, and I'm super proud of myself, and I'm so thankful to everyone, every single person who is credited on any of my pages, who has worked with me or has helped me, you know, or listened to me, you know, work on these projects. Like, you are just as much, you know, like, this victory is just as much yours as it is mine. Like, it has really gotten me through, and that is no more true than with Lord of Lies. Now, Tattoos and Tulips, I had a lot of great experiences with my team then, and same with Crabs and Cocktails, same with Cassie. Like, I had great experiences, but overall, they weren't too draining. They weren't too, like, it wasn't a battle. It wasn't an uphill battle the way Lord of Lies was. I joked that me and Lawrence were in the same, like, boat where he's, like, thrust into something, you know, like, he has a general expectation of what it's gonna be like, but then when he's actually in it, it's like, holy shit, this is not what I signed up for. And, like, that's kind of how I feel with Lord of Lies when I was making the game. Like, I had an idea of what I was getting into. Like, I had expectations. I knew it was gonna be hard. I didn't think it was gonna be this hard. I didn't think it was gonna take this much out of me. But, you know, whatever, we fucking did it. Regardless, we fucking did it. But I really, again, and I've said it and I'm going to keep saying it, but anybody, especially if you got to this part in the postmortem, holy shit, but huge fucking thank you to you. Huge thank you to you for reading the devlogs, I'm assuming, beforehand, or playing the game, or, you know, fucking 10 years in the future and deciding to engage with this, period, or liking any of my other stuff, whatever. I am so happy with what I've done. Maybe not how I did it, but I am happy with what I'm left with. And though it's not perfect, I never expected it to be perfect, but I expected it to be better than the Princess Poison novel, and I expected it to be better than the PP game. And it is. And it is. Yeah, it is. I can confidently say it is better in every way. Lawrence and Gayla, writing them was a saving grace for me a lot of the time. I think they are currently my favorite couple to write. They might be dethroned very soon because I'm making a dating sim next. Ooh, sneak peek. I'm making a dating sim next, so that might actually not hold up anymore. But they are my favorite couple right now. They have replaced Chris and Shay in my mind. Sorry, Micaiah and Rhett were never up there. I love them, but like, but Gayla and Lawrence have stolen my heart. Their love story is incredible, and I loved writing them, and I hope people enjoy reading about them. I, again, am thankful to every part of this. It's like I'm accepting an award, because it kind of fucking feels like it really does. I want to thank my family first. You know, I want to thank my husband, the biggest part of my family. Like, we live together. It's just me and him, you know, and he is my rock. Like, I am usually the person, I like to be the person other people can lean on, but that leaves me where I have really no one to lean on a lot of the time. This has kind of changed this year, thanks to some friends, but, you know, for the longest time, it really was just me, that I could rely on. I was my own, you know, security, and so he has been that for me, and has, even when, you know, he tells me what I don't want to hear, you know, and he is just like, he is always looking for my benefit and doing the best for me. And he's like, you are not doing this again. I'm going to make sure you don't do this again, you know? And I know it's like, it's tough love, but I needed to hear it. I needed to understand. He knows how far I can go, you know? It's like, I'm Icarus. I can go too close to the sun, and he has to keep me grounded. He has to, you know, weigh me down, not ball and chain, but like, he has to keep me grounded. And, Lawrence is really based off of my husband. Like, they have so many qualities, the sassiness, the fucking being an earth sign, basically, just being like, but also just being a good person, just being someone who you can rely on, and will, you know, he does what he says he's gonna do, and he's gonna protect you, and he's gonna help you, and he's gonna hold you, and he might not be perfect at it, he might not think well of himself, but he is who you need in your worst times. And he has always been that for me, like, always. In addition, uh, because it's of equal importance to me, is the friends I've made this year. I have made incredible, incredible friends this year. Okay, now I'm getting teared up. That has been the craziest part of 2023 for me, is that, like, I had friends going into it, but I didn't have best friends. I didn't have people who I could rely on just as much as they could rely on me. I didn't have people who I could come to outside of my husband who really understood me and could, like, keep me sane and keep me grounded and I mean, I'm speaking mostly about Snacks, Lacey, and Alex specifically. They have been like they are the true unspoken heroes. They're not unspoken, but they're the true unspoken heroes of Lord of Lies. Anytime I had a struggle, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what to call this weapon. Lacey would help me. Anytime I didn't have an NPC or something and it was driving me insane, Snacks would listen to me. You know, she would help me. She would give me, and oh my god, Alex, Jesus Christ, Alex gets his own section for a second because oh my god. Okay, so my dating sim for next year, I've been planning since March of earlier this year, but it will be out for Otome Jam of 2024. I'll be talking about it a lot come 2024, so don't even worry about it. But Alex is one of my writers. I work with 3 other writers on that project. It is a big project, and he is responsible for a lot of the world building and the, like, basically the entire foundation for the dating sim, because it's a fantasy, and it's connected to Lord of Lies. So if you're interested in the dating sim, you don't have to engage with Lord of Lies or the dating sim to understand the other. Like, they stand alone on their own merits, but they are in the same universe. So there's, like, and they have the same artwork. Like, it's the same sprite artist and CG artist for both projects. And Alex, holy shit, like, helped me so much. His beta testing was so thorough. He constantly is just supportive of me and, like, a big fan, but also just, like, he is incredible himself. He wrote some of Solana's dialogue later in the game. He, like, God, he just did so much fucking work. He made it make sense. You know, he corrected a lot of my grammar. Like, there's just so much. He helped me with the combat ideas earlier on, even though a lot of it had to be moved somewhere else and rolled over to another project because I just could not do it for this project. But regardless, he has fucking been there, man. Oh my god, so much work. Like, incredible. You have not lived until you've had someone work for you or work alongside of you as hard as Alex does for me. You just have not lived. Like, cannot say enough kind words to him, and I'm sure I will as time goes on. Like, I do all the time, like, and I fucking will. But yes, incredible. Lord of Lies would not exist without these 3. Their beta testing was life-saving, genuinely, and I'm surprised they even enjoyed the story because the beta test version was fucking abysmal in terms of, like, some of it didn't make sense. Like, the game that you're getting now is like night and day compared to that. So, you know, you have them to thank for that. Their struggle was you guys' gain. And again, huge thank you to everyone who's just read the devlogs and interacted with me on Twitter. You know, like, I know, like, Carrot, Chatter, Chime, the big 3 C's. You know, they interact with like the devlog post. Like, they'll leave comments, really kind comments. So, like, I read it, and, you know, and oh god, that always did so much. That always fueled me. You know, that always puts, like, an extra, like, pep in my step, you know? Like, it's not everything. Like, obviously, they've got their own shit going on. I wouldn't blame them if they didn't. But, you know, knowing that people are excited or looking forward to my work is invaluable to me. It is the greatest gift this year has given to me, alongside great friends and 4 games to show for it. The fact that I could have it all and not just some of it is crazy. You know, I don't feel entirely deserving of it all the time, but I've worked really hard on myself this year, and I want to continue to work on myself and to be better and to create even higher quality projects while also not killing myself. And, like, I know it's possible. I know it's possible because teamwork makes the dream work, and I just want to work in teams for a while. You know, I don't know when my next solo dev project will be. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna do solo dev stuff. I probably will. I'll just be smarter about it. I'll keep them smaller. I'll do better. You know, that's the only thing I can do. I can't change what's happened. I can't change how I treated myself in the past, but I can change how I treat myself in the future. And that's it, really. I hope you enjoy Lord of Lies. It's an incredible story. And it's gonna sound cheesy, but I mean, it's a fairy tale, so fuck it. That's literally in the brand. It felt like it was meant to be. It does. The fact that this story has stuck around for so long, the crazy storm that it took to even come to fruition back in my head again, the fact that it failed those other 2 times so Lord of Lies could exist, because it wouldn't exist without that, this whole entire rebrand. And I love the title Lord of Lies more. I love the story more, the characters more, like, everything is better. And maybe that's why those other things failed, was because it needed to be in this form. It could not exist in those other forms. It had to be this way. And though that's crazy and kind of scary for, in the future, it is what it is. And I'm just gonna not try to fight fate. I'm gonna go where my heart takes me and, stay a little bit open. And Lord of Lies is that story as well. It is that story of, things may change and not be how you expected them to go, but it's gonna be okay. If you have the right people alongside you, you can get through anything. And that's my story as well. So I hope you enjoyed this postmortem and this podcast style, whatever. I hope that you have a great new year and that you enjoy the game if you choose to play it. If not, take this as just if you're a creator in any shape or form, give yourself more credit. I think the best thing you can do when you create is prove to yourself that you are capable of what you set out to do, and don't let yourself down. It's okay to let other people down. You're not, but don't let yourself down. Like, if you choose to do something, do it for you and enjoy it. And, I did. And Lord of Lies was hard for a lot of the production time, mainly for just the things I didn't know. I had to learn so much, and so many things popped up that I didn't think I would have had to deal with. But at the end of the day, I learned a lot, and it's invaluable not only as a product, like, it is a great project and I'm excited to share it with other people, but it's also great because it made me a better creator. Like, it was my training arc. It was my, legitimately, I feel like I can do anything now. I've unlocked a new superpower, and that's scary because it's you got to keep your power in check. You can't, and I will. But I'm going to harness all that I've learned from this experience, and I'm going to go forward and do better and be smarter, and hopefully my Otome Dam project is even better than Lord of Lies. I'm expecting it to be, and everybody should be excited. So, anyway, Happy New Year. Love you guys, and that's me. Out. Bye.